7 o'clock now, so I'd like to start the October 16th meeting of the Londonderry Budget Committee. I'd like to call it to order at 7 p.m. May we all rise with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, let's all be seated. So first, the approval of minutes. Are there any? Well, no, I'm sorry. Can I have a motion to open public comment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes in the affirmative. Any public comment?
You looking at me?
Oh,
You're here.
if you have.
You are the public.
You are the public.
I'm not sure I can speak for all of them. I'll speak for myself and try to speak for the general public.
So name and address,
Oh,
As
Ray
always.
Person, 3 Gary Drive.
and you have 5 minutes.
And so, like I said, I think it's great that all you folks are investing your time in this to pay attention. Whoops.
You causing trouble here, sir?
No, no. And looking at the budget and how the town should spend the money, right? Always a big question, where the money's coming from if you're gonna do anything. And so, to me, it's a matter of setting priorities. What are the priorities? I know what I think of the priorities, you may have other ideas. And then there are things like what's gonna be put on warrant articles, and who's writing the warrant articles, all of which, I don't know if you folks are involved or not, somebody is. But choosing how the money is going to be spent and setting priorities. And with that, I will sit down.
All right, thank you, Ray. All right, anyone else for public comment?
Pardon?
All right, seeing no one else for public comment, can I have a motion to close public comment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes in the affirmative. All right, let's continue on to this approval of minutes. Are there any changes or updates that need to be made to minutes?
I'd like to propose one very tiny correction.
Yes.
Under Section 5 Liaison Reports, C for Kate, item 4, Latin 4, there's a capitalized name Warren, which should read lowercase warrant.
Thank you.
Okay.
Got it.
Any other changes or amendments that need to be made to the minutes? All right, so can I have a motion to approve the amendment to the September 18th minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes in affirmative. Can I have a motion to approve the amended minutes?
So moved. Oh, you got it. I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The chair votes in affirmative. So moving on to the strategic plans workshop.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you all for having both of us again this month. We're looking forward to working with you on and collecting your ideas on the strategic plan. Does anybody need me to review what we talked about in terms of the strategic plan and how it's organized from last month? The purpose and everything?
I wasn't here last month, but I'll keep up. I don't want to waste everyone else's time.
Okay, were you able to read over this,
Yes.
Patrick? Okay, so you're basically up to speed. So since then, we've talked to a few more departments, we've started workshops with Public Works, and that's gonna be a lengthier process, larger department, more people involved, more duties. It's going to, we'll be going back again the end of the month to them. Same thing with IT, they have a big piece of the future in their hands, and so we're gonna be working with them more, and we got a couple more boards on the horizon as well. Last month, we talked a little bit about the difference between objectives, action items, and key performance indicators. And as a reminder, the objective is what you want to be able to brag about. What do we do well? What are we awesome at? And the action items are the things you're going to check off to get there. So those are the steps you're going to do in order to get there. And the key performance indicators, that's how you measure. That's how you know you did the action items. So as we're going through, we want to make sure that everything that we are saying that we're creating as an objective is doable. This isn't a wish list, this isn't a big vision, this is actually a tangible thing that we're looking to get complete over the course of that fiscal year. And as we select the objectives, we don't need to necessarily have every single action plan and KPI broken down, right? We want, if you have an idea but don't know how to get there but feel an idea is important, share it. If you have a really well fleshed out idea and you have lots of examples, share that too. The only thing we ask is that, you know, it's realistic. It's something that can be achieved. Think about things that are operationally focused. I know you don't have operational responsibilities, but you want to think about things in the realm of your area of expertise, so budget. We'll hold public information sessions later for more general feedback, and you are all welcome, more than welcome, invited to join in those. And then we'll just keep working and refining this as we move towards the spring. A reminder on the timeline. We're going to be pulling together these objectives that we get from all the boards, departments, and committees. And then we're going to go to the public and get their objectives as well, get their input. We're going to pull all of that together and organize them into what are called functional areas. A functional area could be digital transformation, could be emergency operations. And those functional areas won't just be, this is the police department's area. We're not organizing them by department or function that way or board. We're organizing them by the kind of end goal that all these objectives support. So different departments will be involved in different areas, different boards will be involved in different areas. And part of what we'll do is we'll identify, you know, which area, which board, which department will be supporting each of the objectives over the course of that year.
Brilliant.
So, any questions before I start getting your feedback?
I have a question. When it comes to the KPIs that you're going to ask departments and committees to come up with, and I apologize for missing last month, but was there discussion? What are the thoughts on helping departments and committees actually come up with ways to track that quantitatively throughout the year and report on progress towards a KPI?
That is a great question. So we are currently, and by we are working on a way to track, to come up, kind of develop a digital dashboard for it. That's actually a conversation I might have with you on the side, because I think you might be able to help me with some ideas on that.
I would encourage you to take a look at the
Yeah.
City of Lebanon's. You
Yeah.
can see, because it measures everything in there. And there's a status report on each one of those every year that we have to report on. It's very, obviously, transparent for people to be able to see.
Okay.
And we provided the, I don't think we have the link in here for that.
I gave it to them in the first letter.
Right, but that link is important if you go to, and when we actually brought it up in the Utilities Committee.
Yeah.
It provided them a little bit of context, so that I could actually say, okay, now I understand, I can visually view what it is you're talking about, and you'll see what well, you know what a KPI is, but I mean, what a KPI looks like for those who are not accustomed what those are, and then you'll see the column of the status report is where we're at today. The example that I use, because it's an easier one, is there's an NFPA standard for fire to respond to 90% of the medical calls within 4 minutes. 1 minute to get the call, 1 minute to dispatch it, and 4 minutes to arrive on scene from the time of call. So we're gonna measure that. If that is our goal, how much, in the case of the City of Lebanon, they met that 63% of the time, and the standard is 90%. So we measured that. What is our status on that? Now, what are the action items that we need to put into place to be able to increase that? Some of it was technology, the insertion alerting system, that shaved off anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute and a half, depending on the call. So that helped to shrink that down. It was a relatively low-cost item. The other ones were increasing the number of staffing so you could have more ambulance calls and be able to respond more quickly. Far more expensive, obviously, to deal with. But those are some ideas just to give you, that's an easier one. Some of them are a little bit more esoteric, a little bit more difficult, but again, you've got to be able to measure them. So when you're thinking about this, and the other thing too is because your committee is, you don't have like utilities, you don't have like land, you have everything, right? Because you're looking across the entire town. So think more broadly. They have a financial stability one in the City of Lebanon, and you can also look at Union City, California, Germantown, Tennessee, and Fort Collins, Colorado. Those are other communities that have that strategic plans. They're all going to look a little bit different, right? So the City of Lebanon has a financial stability one, and there's all kinds of action items in there. They don't have a budget committee, but you obviously fit for your city. That's the kind of area, that's one out of the 10 functional areas the city has, and there's all kinds of items in there, from debt management to, I don't want to give too much away because I want you to think of it yourselves, but that covers all those things.
That's why I pulled up the fire prevention one and not the financial stability one. But that's saying, if you go out and you benchmark other ones that you really like, feel free to bring them back, and if you read somebody else's objective, that you read it and you're like, I hadn't thought of this in Londonderry context, but I think it would be a really good one, bring it in. So you can see here the objective, this functional area is public safety. So that's the functional area we're working under.
Before you go too far, just show them that this is your dashboard. 7 total objectives, 29 action items, how many completed, they've been updated since then, but stalled action items, how many KPIs, and how many KPIs completed.
And
So-
this is in this path, this is of the year's plan.
Yep.
So the idea with the strategic plan is that you revisit it every year, you update it. You might keep the objectives that you haven't completed yet, you'd add new ones, you'd remove the completed ones. And then down here is right where it says those responsible groups. So city departments, boards and committees, and community partners as well. There's other stakeholders that are not directly involved in town administration.
The Oliver vision statement.
And so you have to, that, once we pull it together,
Yep.
the vision statement will come from there. And then, so I'm gonna go right back down to that objective. So the objective 6.5, maintain an effective fire prevention effort and fire suppression capability. I'm gonna click view details before we talk about the action items. Takes a hot second. Ours isn't gonna look quite this slick. I apologize in advance.
Not yet.
Yeah, well done, not yet, look at you.
I bet it will.
Okay, so the one that, we'll go right down to the one that Sean mentioned, 6.55. Work to achieve response standards as close as possible that align with NFPA 1710. So this gives what the standard is. The first fire engine or company should arrive within 6 minutes from the time of the emergency call, no less than 90% of the time. There's sub-benchmarks under there, but we're just gonna. So the KPI on this is arrival of a fire engine staffed with 4 personnel to all fire calls in less than 6 minutes from the time of the call, no less than 90% of the time. So it says fire and in progress. And if we click on view details under here, you can report out the status.
Okay.
There's different ways you can do it. You can do it with different indicators that show percent. You can kind of do it with Gantt chart style. You can do it with a number of different ways. They went with current status updates and due dates and timelines. So,
Okay.
but yeah. Did that answer your question?
Mine, yes, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. And then some.
Yes, that's an understatement.
Okay, so,
I am curious, we don't need to spend too much time, but if you go back once,
sure.
the statement there said that geographic challenges will prevent, anyway, 50% of the time because of geographic challenges.
Yep.
So that caught my eye.
Yep.
What would we do when we set a particular KPI, let's say, and it turns out, look, we just can't, because size of Londonderry, number of trucks, et cetera?
We have that issue here too.
Yeah.
So the Auburn Road area, it's a 14-minute response time for us. So what are the options to think about them, right? We can build another fire station. We don't have to do that, right? So what other options do we have? There's a fire station in Derry very close by. Automatic
I was
response.
gonna say it right near Scobie Pond.
Right, so we
Yep.
got,
Yeah.
this encourages people to think outside the box, not just spend big money they don't have, right? But there are other options out there, and what are those options? And it makes, again, I force my people, go back, don't tell me that the only option is to do this. There's gotta be other options they had to explore. And that's what, I already had this discussion with the fire department here. Because building a 4th fire station, we can't even maintain the 3 that we have. I just don't, and adding the staffing to do it. So what other options do we have, right? And that's one of them, is having an automatic alarm response. And, where our fire stations, we might be able to help out another community in that
Right.
same regard. But
Exactly.
none of us have the ability to solve all those issues unless we start thinking outside the box. So just an example.
Yep.
Okay. Just one other comment. I love how this includes various departments. I mean, really what you're doing there is forcing people to break down silos.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
That's exactly
great.
right.
That is a prime goal of this too, is to make sure that, it's interesting, because we've heard similar goals from some similar departments and groups. So, you know what, if your goal is communication and there's another department that's really pushing communication, well, we're gonna get everybody on the same board, and we might create some really interesting synergies there. And that's something that's really fun, is you can get people from different groups in the room who have similar goals, and then you get really cool ideas that end up working together and coming up with things you never would have before.
Can you just show them the 10 functional areas?
Yes, absolutely, I would love to go back there. So this is the initial 10 functional areas screen. So you can see they have high-performing government, housing and neighborhoods, financial stability and efficiency,
Right, which is gonna be the area that you'd be most focused on.
Yeah.
recreation, arts and parks, environment and sustainability, public safety, transportation, economic vitality, social health and justice, and public health. Now, a really big thing to know is that these functional areas are going to come from the objectives. We're not picking functional areas and then putting objectives into them.
Okay, yep.
We're working the other way around. And so our functional areas might look very different from Lebanon's. You know, high performing government, that's likely gonna be one, right? I'd put money on that right now if I was a betting person, which I'm not. Something involving financial stability and efficiency, absolutely. I think emergency operations and public safety are gonna be big here. I think you're gonna see something about transportation, or at least roads. You know, those are things that we might see here that I'm fairly confident we'll see kind of come together. Other ones?
Guessing you'll see something about housing and zoning and
Yep.
planning.
I think housing, zoning, and land use. I think land use might be one, absolutely.
None of these are gonna be a surprise, I mean,
Right.
this is the business that we're in, and you look at the other 4 communities across the country, I gave examples, you're gonna see very similar type of areas.
And you know what? We might have 8 functional areas.
Yep.
Right.
We might have 12 functional areas. I doubt it. Much more likely to have 8 than 12. But, and again, ours is probably going to be a little more concise this first pass.
Mhm.
Yep.
That makes sense. Let people
Let's-
get their feet under them with it.
Right.
And let's set everybody up for success rather than shoot the moon and land in the Pacific. So,
Just one question
Yeah.
about what's on the screen now. So this is a 3-year strategic plan, but we're gonna work on a 1-year.
The focus is, the main focus is on the next year, and then you foreshadow the next 2.
Got it.
Because some of these, let's say, I just talked about this in the other room. We wanna increase, part of our master plan, this is linked to our master plan. So maybe one of the, we wanna increase open space. So maybe the goal is we're gonna increase open space in the community by 3%. Well, we may not be able to do that all in 1 year.
Sure.
So the first year's task is, well, we're gonna make some zoning change. Second year, we need to put more money in the conservation, whatever it is, right? Or we provide incentives, there's a number of strategies, right? So the first year, our goal is to do this part of it. And the next year, we're gonna do this, so you can see what, you're foreshadowing what's gonna happen in the next 2 years, but your real focus is on the next year. And the reason why it's more narrowly focused is these big plans tend not to get done, they look
Yeah.
great on the shelf. You gotta have measurements, and you know this, you all work in the private sector, you know that that's how things get done, you gotta drive it. And if you don't drive it, you don't measure it, it just doesn't happen,
Right.
right? And that's what this is intended to do, is to drive success and get those things done.
Love it.
yeah.
Ultimate performance review.
Yep.
It is.
It's
It's,
done.
it's like the cycle, right, that
Yep.
you do, that you would have in.
Yeah, how
Then
well
there's
are
something.
we doing? We don't
Yeah.
even measure that right now. We
Right.
can look at our citizens and say, we've had some successes, and they've had a lot of successes, and they've also had some things that are failed, some that they're just roadblocks you can't get beyond, like building another station, they have the same problem.
Yeah.
That it just isn't realistic, so how do we work around that with other solutions? And some of them may not be attainable, and we've gotta be realistic about that.
The other advantage of having a format like this and having it publicly and out there for everybody to see is that, you know, there might be somebody perusing who's like, hey, I've seen it that dealt with someplace else that we've never seen, and it actually encourages the public to engage with it. They're like, hey, I have a suggestion.
Yep.
It lets them clearly know what we're striving towards. So if people have expertise, if they have skills, if they have knowledge that they contribute to the community, they can really focus that in and see where it might be beneficial. Because I think you'd find we have a large number of people in this community who have like 1 or 2 really amazing, awesome skills that they'd love to give where they can, or their expertise or advice, but they don't really know where to put it.
Yep.
This gives a roadmap for participation as well.
So when can we have it?
Next spring. Next spring, yes. So that is actually the last piece of the timeline. So we're going to be working on putting this together over the winter. We're looking at going out to the public after the holidays for their input. Because December is a rotten month to try and do that, and we're not going to be mean.
Yep.
So we're going to go out to the public after the holidays, and then we're going to pull everything together. It's going to be presented to the council in the spring by Sean, And then it'll go out to a public hearing where again, we can get public feedback on it. And then hopefully the council will adopt it up to that, once we go through this.
Then by spring, like March, April.
April, I think.
Normally the time frame is you do 2 workshops in April. That's what it takes, about 2 workshops for the council to go through it. And then usually in the middle of May is the schedule I'm used to.
Okay.
The council gets that final presentation, there's a public hearing, the public provides, again, the public's make comments all on the way, but now that you have the official public hearing, which they tell the council, change this, add that, usually by then it's all worked out because people have already provided all that. And then they actually vote on it, which we don't have right now. So, I mean, I actually don't have any specific direction from the council, go do these things, I don't have that, right?
Right.
That's what this is designed to do,
Okay.
and the whole community work together to create it. That this is what we want to accomplish, and then you, manager, go out there and get this done with your staff and all the boards and committees that go along with that, and then let's see how well we have done, and where we need to put more resources.
Yeah, and because at our last one's meeting, I discussed by February, while it's usually a lax meeting, we sit down and just go over
Yeah.
what from budget season, what new ideas have come up, along the way, jotting those down and have something, a good document from the committee of okay, just budget wise and through the process wise, these are some of our ideas for approval. So if we worked on something, had it done by February and turned it over to you, that wouldn't be too.
No.
It wouldn't be a burden to get it in around that time for.
Yeah, no,
Maybe
that's
it's
certainly
developed.
plenty of time. This does not need to be rushed. And it'll be on a regular schedule, because you do this every year.
Yeah.
You'll be on a regular schedule in which you do this. And, I mean, I already came up with a very long list of things that I think that you would come up with that
Okay.
are relevant to this, but we'll see what you come up with.
Yeah, there's all kinds of, and that's the fun part. It's kind of the fun part is we're collecting all this data in the background, but we're not going to. Eventually, all of the data will be given out, but we want people to come to this unpolluted in
fresh
their
minds.
designs, fresh eyes. This is all about fresh eyes, right? It's all about fresh eyes and what the priorities are. So when we go to the public, we won't be publishing a list of collective objectives first, because this isn't public feedback at first. It's
Right.
public input.
Yes.
We want people coming in and giving us the same thing that you guys are here without saying, yes, I like that one, no, I want that one. We don't want to delve into that conversation yet. That's the workshops and the hearing.
Yeah.
We want to hear what people have to say from their own perspective. So that's another important thing too. So if you're wondering what other people have said, we'll mention things here and there, but that's not the point. We want to know what you have to say. So starting with that, I'm actually, if you're okay, Joseph, you're okay with this? I'm
I'm
gonna pull up
per-
the thing that
I-
Kate said.
I was going to read off. And
I don't wanna know how fast you drove, Kate.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It was only an hour and 20 minutes getting
Yeah.
here, as opposed to the 2.5 hours it took this morning. But
Yeah,
yeah.
alright. So Kate, do you wanna start us off with the things that you came up
Sure.
with?
So one of my objectives, I really want to, as soon as I realized how non-transparent the role and responsibility of the budget committee was, I wanted to make that more transparent. Especially because that couple years ago we had that Warren article where people thought we should have more control over the budget, and that really allows us to do a municipal code, define that, see how that goes, and get public input to eventually do a town charter amendment. So we can have that defined, what are our roles and responsibilities, bylaws, all those other great things that I think have been needed for quite some time. I didn't realize how, not meaty it was, so, yeah,
Just on that one, if we're gonna do this, we should be talking about this in the spring. Because
yes,
there's a timeline that we have to meet, and it's very strict.
yes,
And by the first week of October, we have to have that pretty much ready to go, because there's a 45-day period for 3 state agencies.
Yeah.
So we wanna work on that together in the spring, get
Yes.
that ironed out, have attorneys review it, and then get it ready to go so it's lined up.
Yep.
Because we only wanted to do one per year, and this is a good one to do. So let's work
Yep.
on that together, it's obviously.
yeah,
that-
especially after deliberative, things really slow down quite a
Right,
bit,
yeah.
so, yeah,
It's a good time for us to.
Yep.
It's a great time to do that one,
It is,
absolutely,
yep.
So you're looking for the idea, one action item might be to amend the town charter to more clearly define the role of the budget committee.
yes,
Okay?
yep.
And then, anybody else have any other ways that you can think of that would, any other action items to achieve more transparency into the role and responsibilities of the budget committee?
Is it already defined on the website? I mean, there's some.
Not.
No, I mean that would be the first thing.
You guys
I
get
would-
one sentence in the charter.
And then it's
Yeah,
usually
that's
it's
it.
passed down board to board,
Yeah.
how we.
So I already have a draft
Yeah.
that's gonna go into the code. I
Yep.
finish up, I'm having staff review it, but
Yeah.
you're gonna get that pretty soon.
Yeah.
Good.
Because it's gonna come in front of the council in
Yeah.
January. So if the council, on January 5th, if they like it, it gets approved on the 18th of January, the public hearing and approval that day.
Right.
So
Okay.
then you'll be in the code,
Yep.
and then you'll have that.
Yeah.
Some things to
Yeah.
think about, the quarterly budget reports, you should be getting those.
Yep.
And the nice thing about this is you're actually, the council got it because when the packet went out, but you're meeting now, they're meeting on Monday. So if you wanted to go and say, we heard the quarterly budget report, we have concerns about this, because you're in a position to advise them.
Yep.
And that's why if we get the schedule right, we'll be meeting with you hopefully beforehand, then you can do that if you wish to do that with the council.
Yep.
Okay.
So
Yep.
that is already in motion, but that's something you wanna add in there, right?
Yep.
It's part of the charter, I mean, not the charter, but the municipal
Yep.
code amendments I've already drafted out for you.
Nice.
Yeah. So that would be draft, budget committee, charge.
Yep.
And you also don't have rules or bylaws.
We
Right.
need those, yep.
But those are really not strategic items, that's actually in the code. It talks about that for each board and committee is
Yep.
responsible for
Yep.
this, so that's all mapped out for you.
So,
Yeah. And a lot of these things, we probably don't even need to start from scratch. I bet there are other local committees that are more established that probably do have bylaws
Yeah.
that we can borrow from.
there's definitely a couple that do have very good bylaws and rules of procedure that you can borrow
Yep.
from. A couple of the land use boards, a couple of, actually the Arts Council has good ones, so there's
Yeah.
a number of ones that you can work from, it's not starting from scratch. And then
Exactly,
your
yeah.
good friend, AI, you can feed them in and pull it out and have it, make it relevant.
Yep.
So key performance indicators, strong participation in municipal code change hearing and passing the town charter amendment in FY '28.
Yep.
So the only thing I would say here is define strong.
Yes.
You know, it could be budget committee input at
Yep.
every municipal code change
Yep.
hearing.
Could
Yep.
be a minimum number of BC members
Yeah.
attending.
Yeah.
Mhm.
A quorum, maybe. At least a quorum.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna change it to quorum just for now, but again, this is a draft, so we can come
Yep.
back to that. But again, that's that quantifiable step. So
Yes.
you wanna pick words that are yes or no,
Measure.
Yep.
measurable, black
Smart.
or white. Even like, it can be yes or no, like did this or didn't do this,
Yes.
but it has to be clear.
Yeah, smart
Smart.
objective.
Yep, smart, yeah. I wasn't gonna bring it up again, I've said that like 6 times in the past week. Good talking about smart goals. Alright, so, it's okay, next you're just gonna hear about Kanban boards from me endlessly.
Oh, I love those.
Alright,
So the next one was providing greater opportunities and transparency to taxpayers to meaningfully engage with budget-related data by making that data more interactive and easily accessible. To start, maybe that could look like being able to download things in an Excel file form so people can play with the data, maybe interactive tools. So I've done this myself, create like a little spreadsheet where I put in what my assessed value of my house is to understand what my property taxes might be. So more tools like that we can provide to the community that allow people real live access to, okay, if I pass this warrant article, what's that gonna do to my taxes? So more things that are interactive. And part of that, the tools, the simulators. I was doing some research on this in OpenGov, which we talked about a couple weeks ago and last month really. They have what's called the budget simulator tool. So as you're building the budget as a town, you can simulate what that's going to do to your property taxes and live as you're building all these budgets. It's really neat. And then they also have what's called a taxpayer receipt, which shows like if you paid X amount of dollars in property taxes, down to the cent where it went, which I think is really neat too. Yeah, yep. And Baton Rouge has a Citizen Data Academy. If in the event we don't end up going or using OpenGov for whatever reason, there's also something else that also has some really great ideas on accessing that data. And so greater, I know that's varied. So like increased, I would say, let's say 15% increase in attendance and participation in deliberative sessions. And because people have to check off that they went to deliberative, we're able to see year over year who, goes. But I think making things more interactive will make people more interested in town budgeting, because it's that real life impact into how that's going to affect you personally.
So
It's less esoteric.
So I just had one caveat with the for the key import. Of course, we want more people attending deliberative sessions, but where do we cross the line of where it becomes electioneering? Because it is right. They're all coming. They're all coming to vote on the warrant articles. How are we reaching out to the townspeople? Should we just focus on narrowing on the workshops and increasing workshop attendance? Because of course, we get a few. If we're lucky, we get a few hundred people that show up to deliberative.
Yeah,
Right.
It would be nice to see a few thousand people show up to
more.
deliberative,
Yeah.
but because of the nature of that session, should that be the town's? How
You wanna
Would be
ask
better-
if
right.
encouraging attendance
Yeah.
is electioneering.
electioneering? Yeah, and
Encouraging,
that's-
it's not.
And that's okay.
Electioning applies to employees.
Yeah.
Okay.
So your job is actually to go out, you're supposed to advise the legislative body, which is the town meeting.
Right.
So you actually work for them. And that's how the budget committee works in most towns. It's unclear what we got written in here. Right? So that's really what your job is. You're supposed to, because the average citizen doesn't have the time to do that, they've elected you to do that form, have someone to dig into that, provide the information, so that is your very job to do that.
Right.
We encourage you to come out, here's the information that's available, we've looked at it, this is our assessment, this is our recommendation. We have a different role. We have different responsibilities that we're not allowed to do things that you are allowed to do.
So we could put that in and help just the budget committee, us ourselves as members or as members and as a group, encourage folks to attend deliberative session.
Yep.
That wouldn't be crossing any lines.
Not
That
at
would be okay. Good.
Yep.
That's
No, not at all. And in
Okay.
fact, it's never suggesting people go out and participate is never an electioneering. Saying, go out, show up for election day, show up for the deliberative. That's not
Yeah.
electioneering. Now, when you get down to the weeds, where you want to be a little bit more careful is when you start saying, vote for
Yes or no on this.
this
Yeah.
or that. We just that's where
right.
running
so,
it through is
so
helpful.
we couldn't
but
say,
yeah.
hey, support our support our recommendations on the budget. That would be
You can say
crossing-
but you can also say the budget
Okay.
committee recommends because it's on the ballot.
Right.
Like,
That's
yeah,
not-
you literally do it. That's
Okay.
literally your job.
Yeah, I
You're
just-
elected.
Yeah.
Elected
Okay.
officials have very broad, it's employees that electioneering applies to employees, right? So you have broad authority
We are not
to
paid.
do those things.
I know. Because I'm so used to doing it on the partisan side where hold
Yeah.
bars, call people up, drive them to the polls, drag them out, tell them how to vote, whatever, give them advice. But on this side of things, I just want to make sure that everything that we're doing is kosher.
Yep.
The one thing it comes in a little fuzzy is when you're using town resources, and so that's where it gets a little bit. But what you go out and say and advocate and speak up for, that's entirely separate.
Okay.
So if you're asking me to post something on the website, no.
Right.
I can't do that with my time on a town resource. But what you go out and say, what you request, what editorials you write, what letters to the editor you do on your own time, that is yours to
Okay.
do. Does that make sense, that differentiation?
Yeah.
Yep.
I love this, what you did here, Kate. This is great, thank you. One thing that occurred to me with the action items is, and I play in the open source community a lot, so what if we even enabled citizens to submit their own tools that go through a review process?
Yeah, that would be great.
Right.
There are people in the community who have served on the budget committee in the past who have made that Excel spreadsheet where you put in your assessment, there's a precedent for that. So there's somebody who's honestly, I can't remember the woman's name, but she made it, and it's probably still floating around in the community somewhere, right? And again, you don't necessarily.
Like Kate, I did one of those this past March, actually, and provided that to a
Yeah,
bunch
see,
of
there you go,
people.
so.
Yeah.
All the the only thing you had to do was punch in your assessment,
Yeah.
and you saw all your taxes and where they went.
Yep.
So what I'm hearing here is solicit community input
Yep.
And
on
contributions.
best way and contributions.
Back in my world, we slap everything into a GitHub repo and let people submit pull requests.
On best way to communicate,
Yep.
budget related information.
Yep. And when I say like Greater Harmony during the budget season, as we focus on the invest, that will allow people to see, this warrant article, we think maybe it's like seems like a ton of money, but then we do the warrant article and they do the math and they say, oh, it's $12 for 1 year to support this. Like, that wasn't as much as I thought. That wasn't as great of an impact as I thought it was going to be to my taxes. And that's what I'm talking about with maybe reducing some of the noise, because I remember last budget season, it was very prickly around like, you know, $1,500 here, you know, $500 here. And I would prefer we spend more time really focusing on bigger ticket items in the budget, because I think that's a better place for our energy to go. And maybe that might get rid of some of that noise. I get where like $500 here, 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 and here, it all adds up. But we spent so much time doing that. So for us to just say, well, we're gonna go with this budget anyway, you know? So.
My challenge would be, as we move forward, we're going to need to find a way to quantify something like that.
Yes.
Yes.
And I don't know that we'll necessarily come up with that answer tonight, but that's
Yeah.
something to think about. So how would you quantify, like you said, reducing the noise, right? Focusing
Yeah.
on the meat, the substance rather than the shine.
Yep.
How
Yep.
do we quantify that?
Aggregate meeting time reduced.
Ooh, yeah, that's a great idea.
Deliberative ends before noon.
We're out before lunch.
And I also want a unicorn.
Also, peak decibel level lower than last year.
That would be good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I think these are excellent starting points here. What else in terms of objectives do all of you have right now? Or thoughts of a direction you want to go with an objective? It doesn't have to be fully fleshed out.
I mean, mine, I've been toying, tinkering with it. It's not there yet, but just increase of community input to the budget committee itself.
Yeah.
Like just, and where I've been like kind of like spinning my wheels is that like how do we get to that point? What resources can we use that we haven't already done, that we aren't already doing, that also wouldn't put a strain on dollars being used? I mean, right? And we've already put out in paper, on the town social media platforms. It's already on the website when our meetings are. How to increase community input, especially during the budget process and towards, because the town gets theirs, schools gets theirs, but we have our discussions, and we're lucky if we get a few folks that show up.
Yep.
And in the past, Ray and then Dan Bouchard, the only two since I've been on the budget committee that have come into a budget committee meeting and have asked us to ask some questions on their behalf to the council or the school board. So I would like to see more community engagement during the budget process, where we can start bringing things up on their behalf and start workshopping it ourselves. So it's right now like the action items, how do we garner more community support?
So I made a suggestion under there. I kind of went a little bit out of my lane a little bit here, but engage with the community at events outside meetings.
And that's something that
Old Home Day Booth?
Well, Old Home Day Booth, but it's something that I was going to discuss later in the meeting when we're talking about our schedule, is having during budget season on, maybe weekends, like advertising, hey, if you budget committee members not in quorum, we're going to be at either a coffee shop or at some place that's locally accessible in town to take questions.
Yep.
And to speak with members of the public so we can get further input.
I like that idea.
Yeah. I did that when I was running a couple years ago. Nobody showed up, but
One of the things I don't have is
Good,
we should have a
good to go,
budget
yeah.
page that says, most people don't even know what you do.
Well, that's what I was just gonna say, is I think a lot of what you're
This is their
describing,
role
yeah.
on the budget page. This is a
Yeah.
budget committee page. But I'm
Yes.
talking about, if I wanna find out what the budget is, I should be able to go there. Here's the schedule.
Right.
And these are the people I can go and talk to.
Yeah.
This is what their role is. Their job is actually what we just talked about, right?
Yeah.
There's nowhere that it says
Yeah.
that. So most people, I shouldn't say most, there are a lot of people who don't understand that, especially if you come from Massachusetts, they don't have that per se.
Yeah.
In a lot of communities, you come from a city, they're like, what are these people? Nobody knows.
Yeah.
So this is a way to articulate that, explain that. Another way to have more participation is, you just got here because you barely made it.
Yeah.
A lot of people have families, they gotta feed them, that sort of thing. If you can participate, right now these meetings are sometimes live streamed and some of them aren't, they show up afterwards, but if you can participate remotely, where you can jump in like on a Teams or a Zoom meeting and say,
Exactly.
I got a
Yeah.
question I wanna ask, You can, while you're making
Have
dinner.
the Zoom chat right up
Yep.
there.
Right, while you're making dinner, or you're elderly, and you don't wanna drive at night, or
Yep.
it's raining out, you don't wanna go out or whatever, right? And you got other things you gotta do, you could jump in when you need to as you're listening to it, meanwhile, you're taking care of your kids or doing what you gotta do. We found a lot more people participated that way, and a lot of the elderly folks, they don't wanna drive at night.
Yeah.
So our numbers went up, and what happened is the number of people in the room went down, the number of people online went up. At one point, we had 600 people on one meeting.
Wow.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow,
They were
that's
not happy.
impressive.
They weren't happy that day.
And something else I wanted to add, so I want to work with the senior resource committee as well.
Oh,
too,
yeah.
Because
That's a
they
great idea.
they have events and they would know what's the best way to reach out to
Yep.
them and just let them know it's like, hey, we're meeting, or how do we, because I don't know what's the best way for that community to reach out to them, engage with them. I don't know.
I had
So
like
they
30
would have-
people when I went. It was in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So you could just go there and talk about different things with them. Yeah, but those are some tactics that we can put into place to make
Right.
that, achieve that objective.
How are you reaching how well do you think you're reaching parents and young families?
I think poorly.
Yeah.
I think outside of showing up to, it was easier when the school board meetings are packed. I'll say that.
Yeah.
A few during COVID, but now I would say poorly outside of when they
But
attend.
to be fair, there's also no concerted effort to have a budget committee presence
Yeah.
outside, online or in the real world.
Exactly.
Right?
So maybe PTAs.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're
PTAs.
reaching out to the senior community, reach out to the
Mhm.
PTAs
Yeah,
as well.
that's
That's a good idea.
And then social media, this is, budget committee's meeting on this, just so you know, budget committee's gonna be talking about these items. So you can go to these meetings and talk, talk in language that people, I can, okay, great,
Yeah.
Or I can also send a chat to them too, because we can take those, and pen those, and a lot of people are using those pieces of technology that
Yep.
we're not taking advantage of.
And we do have plans to build out these tools as well. So as we're moving through the rest of this calendar year, these tools, this information, the infrastructure will be built out so that you will be able to see more of these you will be
Yep.
able to have access to more of these tools. We're working on protocols for expand access to, for example, different individuals from boards to edit your own webpage, right? Like, there's
Right.
no reason why we can't develop a training protocol other than time for that. And so we've been looking at where's that time best spent? Is it best spent creating a training program so that now 8 different boards can update their own page within the parameters, or is it worth one person doing it all? And so that's kind of the calculus that we're doing. So if you come up with an idea like that, that's using a tool we have that you don't think you have access to, don't dismiss it because of that, because we can work with that.
The goal is we've gotta
Yeah.
make you more higher profile.
Yep.
We've gotta get you, and there's a lot of things we have to do to help you get there.
So that's a great one. So provide more transparency into the role of responsibilities, provide greater transparencies and engagement with the budget, increase community input and involvement with the budget committee. These I think are 3 phenomenal places to start.
I think so too.
And the third one will be substantially assisted if the municipal code and town charter get changed.
Correct, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't know, I had no idea what the budget committee was when I first moved here. For
Right.
years and years, I had no idea. And I wasn't going to meetings. I didn't even know that all the meetings that were happening were even happening because I was just new to town. I didn't know anything. I had a baby. I just moved on and did my best to vote, right? And so a lot of people, I think, come to town and are in that bucket and they just don't
Yeah.
know enough, right? And they don't even know what they don't know.
And for that, actually, I think the town deserves credit. The new-ish now website is a big step in the right
Yeah.
direction towards putting
Yep.
a lot of stuff out. So thank you to the town for that.
True.
You're
Yeah.
most welcome. I welcome input, suggestions, alterations. And I'm just sorry, now I'm using this for different ideas here, but
no, that's good.
Yeah.
you know, the idea of even physical or digital or physical welcome packets, right? We used to do those with assessing, I don't know, way back when.
Yep.
Remember, did anybody ever move back in the 90s and get the welcome wagon baskets,
What's
right?
in life?
Yeah, hush, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, I first moved here in
Yeah.
93 or so, I think.
Yeah, we got a basket.
94, yeah.
Wow.
I moved here in 91, yeah, so
Basket.
Yeah.
we don't really do baskets
Fancy.
anymore, but there's no reason you can't have a great PDF, right?
Right.
And-
A good podcast, even if it's 5 to 10 minutes long, it talks about the role of the budget. When you click on that, some people, that's how they want their information. right?
Mhm.
A budget committee, we're talking about, this is what we do at the budget committee, this is our role and responsibility. It's one thing to read things, but to have someone articulate, that would be an easy thing for us to, we have a cable TV department, to have them
2
produce that
podcasting
for.
rooms over there.
Yeah,
Short,
and then
yeah.
throw that podcast on there.
Short form video is currently the only growing form of digital media.
So we need a TikTok?
I'm
I'm just kidding.
I was thinking YouTube.
Yeah.
Short form vertical
Okay.
media.
Yeah.
It's short form vertical. If you can hold your phone like this,
Yeah.
it's gonna get watched. If
No,
you have
I
to
know.
turn your phone, you're not gonna do it. So yeah.
Good suggestion.
Then people
Those
say,
reels,
check this
everybody
out,
sees
I do
them.
this, what they
Right.
know how to, is it, those are
Okay.
easy things, it doesn't cost any money
They're
for us to
50
do
young
that.
people.
Right. And so the lovely thing is this, right? Develop a 4-episode. So KPIs. If you do want to go with this, develop a 4-episode podcast series. Create
By the
6.
state.
Yeah, by the state. Thank you. Yeah,
Right.
timely. Create 6 short form videos, 1 a week during the crux of budget season. Do you know what I mean? So this is, and then I threw something up here that actually, it's something that,
Great point.
I apologize. If all of you don't know that I served on the budget committee before I worked for the town, I'm bringing some baggage with me here, but a budget glossary for people.
Yep.
You talk about that webpage about the budget, it would be really neat to define words like raise and appropriate, because everybody thinks raise and appropriate means increase over last year, but that's not what it means, because each budget starts and builds, right? So that goes along with how you build the budget. What is a warrant? What is a ballot? What's a
Yeah.
deliberative set? Like a glossary would be helpful for people. So anyway.
What about things like, because I'm thinking about, my brain's still on the Baldwin, like things that are going on in Concord that might impact property taxes, and somehow creating a link between the budget committee and state and local reps.
We could have a liaison for our state delegation.
Mm-hmm.
That's something we could decide at the end of the meeting tonight. Decide on today.
Yeah.
Say we have a liaison where they
Yeah.
meet with the delegation and they give us information.
What's going on
everything
in
we lay
Concord
back
that might
here.
affect property taxes
Yeah.
and our tax rate and things like that.
That's
But a more aggressive stance might be legislation that we wanna propose to address whatever the issue, a
True.
drain on revenue,
Yep.
in this particular case, right?
Yep.
yeah.
Those are strategic items
Yes.
right there.
Yes.
And if you get the council to approve that,
Yep.
that's a mandate for us. This is where we don't get, this is how we avoid election. Now we're mandated to go advocate for this.
Yes.
Okay.
Go testify, because I won't go testify unless my governing body is telling me to do it
Yep.
on behalf of what the town
Yep.
wants. So that could be one of the
I mean, I'll
items
do it
that you would
anyway,
add.
but.
Sorry, I ran out of space on that one, so I was trying to open it.
That's
There
okay.
we go. Awesome. All right, so the objective would be greater engagement with and influence on budgetary matters at the state level.
Yeah.
Advocacy instead of influence.
Thank you.
You sound like my boss. We don't insure anything.
Right.
This is good. I'm in lean training this week, and so the number of times I've built consensus definitions this week is a lot. So, greater engagement with and advocacy on budgetary matters at the state level.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you said, that could be, that could consist of, formalized communication with representation.
Legislative delegation.
Yes, thank you. And what else do we say there? No, I was trying to open a Word document.
There's so much in here.
Yeah.
Yes.
We had a meeting with the executive council, in fact, Representative Perez was in there with us as well. We were talking about the 10-year highway plan, about how we don't get as much money as a lot of other communities do,
Yep.
and how we were there to advocate, that's what we were doing.
Yep.
For the projects that we have on there, to make sure they don't get cut.
Yep.
And for other projects, to get that state and federal money coming into our town, that we're paying out in taxes to Washington and Concord, get it back here in our community.
And once you're finished with that, Kirsten, if you can also add not just state but also county level as well.
Oh,
Sure.
right. because we do pay, part of our property taxes do go to the county. Yep.
And it's the same people that we're meeting with. I mean, we'll just, add in the county commissioner, but, it's
That's
the same
right.
people that are part of the county
Yep.
delegation, so it's.
All right,
I think that's a good start.
I think it's a very good start. All right, so these are great ones to pull into the list of objectives that we're developing, and then I think you get us quiet on a month about the strategic plan, but don't worry, we'll be back to bother you in November about your committee charge
Fair.
and the municipal code. So
Okay.
when Sean said you're getting more staff support, you get lots of staff support. So awesome. Sean, do you have anything else you want to add
No,
on
just
this?
that obviously we'll need to fine tune these to
Yeah.
the actual action items to get them done, and the measurement tools will fine tune those pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the status report, and then who are the participating entities, departments, boards and committees, and then outside entities to be part of this. We have to map those out as well.
Yep.
Sean, I remember that you had explained to the library board of trustees at one point that online editing, such as Microsoft and Google give you, is not permissible in a board situation like that because it constitutes a de facto quorum. Does that also apply to us if we were, for example, to share out what Kate started there and what Kristen is continuing here?
It would, so what you would have to do is you put it as the part of the agenda package, and then people all get to see that what we're commenting on. But yeah, you can't share it amongst each other, because we're
Yeah.
conducting business outside of the view of the public.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. If you circulate a document amongst all of you, it should be presented to the public. So you can send out something in advance of the meeting that you're going to discuss at a meeting.
Yep.
So for example, if you all wanted to individually send your input to Joseph individually, and then Joseph sends it to me to put on the agenda, public.
Yep.
We can do that. So if there's something you want to submit there, we can put it that way. Or you can give your comments in public on it. Those are kind of your two options for assembling
And
feedback.
that's what Kate did tonight. So she.
Yeah, I
sent
didn't
it-
break laws.
Right, so she sent an email to me and she attached Sean and Kirsten to it, and that's
Yeah.
why we had the initial document that we're looking at with our comments. So that was first sent right to me,
Yep.
Kirsten, Sean, and now we're discussing it tonight. So I
Yep.
guess in that format there, and then we can discuss it all together.
You know, you folks know the biggest angst that people have is when we're doing stuff that they can't see.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yep.
we want them to be informed.
Yeah.
When you deal with that transparency issue, that takes a lot of the air and a lot of the complaints that people have. People were coming to these meetings here just because they didn't know what was gonna happen at it. They didn't have information, these council meetings, because they had no idea what was gonna be discussed. Some of them things were on the agenda. So people would go just because I gotta be there because I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yep.
Right? Now it's all out there, the information for them to look at. So we've gotta keep that transparency piece, as you've already indicated, has got to be driven home, that whatever we do, people have to be able to see it, that we've got out there, so they can provide their own opinion and their own feedback to us.
And also any business or anything like this, just always do over email so it can be 91.8. If
Right.
someone wants to request it
Yep.
for the public, just.
But, so as you can see, just a brief side note on this, since you're talking about this right now,
Yep.
as you saw, when I sent out the agenda, we created an in-house, in staff. The problem is that when I was fighting with the website, there was something error going on, and I couldn't get it to build a packet like it did for town council.
Yep.
So I'm gonna be able to start earlier next time, so the goal is going to be to get your agenda out by the end of the week before.
Okay.
We're not quite going, I don't quite have the bandwidth to do 10 days out like council right now.
Yep.
But I would like to get it out by the Friday before your meeting, which means that any agenda items and documents,
Yep.
there's 1 week before your meeting,
Yep.
and then I can publish it the next day.
And
That
that way
would
the
be-
public has time to read it, because
Yeah.
everybody's busy
Yep.
working, and then when they come here for
Yes.
public comment, they can say, I've read this over carefully, I've actually submitted a couple of questions, got answers back, and here's the feedback I wanna provide. But when we give them no time, they're, like the rest of us, they're busy.
So,
So sorry, can I just ask a question about Sean? You brought up the next steps fleshing out all the details
Yes.
and whatnot. Is that something we will do, or is that
We
something?
would prefer to get your help.
You will do.
Sometimes I don't
Okay.
get that, then I'm left to try to figure it out myself.
Okay, yeah,
But we would prefer, that's why
Yeah.
this is an elongated process.
yeah,
Yeah.
So you come up with what you think the strategic objectives are, and then we
Yeah.
start to work out the finer details of things. And sometimes boards will do that without me, which is fine, right? And sometimes they want help with it, we do that too. But either way, we wanna get that back. Some are really good. The Conservation Commission in Lebanon was super. I mean, when you look at, they got stuff in every, because they were really good at it. And the library was really good at it there too. So they, a lot of detailed information, they did a really great job. Some other departments, I gotta kick them in the butt, right? That's how it works.
Yep, and so what's gonna happen next? That's a great question. So I'm going to send you, or just append, you can send me the minutes and I'll append it to the minutes. You and I can work that out after the meeting. So everything that we typed up today will get appended to the minutes. So it'll be public, people can look at it. And then from there, you can decide if you would like to visit it again on your own in November or December. Otherwise, once we get the objectives pulled together, you know, we'll send you out more of what we have, and since you said that you really think February would be a great time to talk
Yeah.
about it, we can plan on doing a session in February to really nail these down.
Mhm.
And so we can walk out of them with some of the objectives pretty much fully fleshed out that would then go to the council and be put into those functional areas. Sound like a good timeline? Do we have general agreement on that?
that's good,
Awesome.
thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. And then,
You
like I
have
said,
right up to the public hearing in May, literally, to
Okay.
make last minute changes, and sometimes there's a few of those too. So we deliberately built in all this time to be able to get folks to be able to think through this, fine tune things to get them where we collectively want them to be.
and then we get like 3 months to breathe before we start talking about the next year.
Great.
No, I really appreciate that, because I mean, Patrick and I only just joined, so
Mhm.
it'll be really helpful to get through some of the actual
Mhm.
budget process.
Yeah.
I'm sure I might
And
have
that was
different
my
feelings.
thought, right? You're gonna go through budget process and
Mhm.
things are gonna come up. Things are
Yeah,
gonna come
yeah.
up to me too that
Yeah,
That
I
you don't
forgot
remember
from
since
years
last
before,
year.
right? And then I was like, oh, that would be a good way, a good direction to go in the future. Do X, Y, or Z differently. So
Yeah.
I think we'll, as as a board, have new ideas, better ideas to improve.
That's awesome.
agreed.
All right.
So then next on the agenda, are we all set discussing SDI?
I'm
Yes.
in great shape for now.
Okay, so then the next on our agenda, the unaudited Q1 financial update.
So there's a memo there from Justin, needless to say, we're in pretty good shape here in terms of expenditures. We're on target, 23.39%. And then revenues are also where they should be, so no surprises in the first quarter. Obviously, it's the start of the year, so we have a long way to go. And
Do you mind zooming in, if you don't mind?
Sure, you want to zoom in on the chart there?
Yes,
hey,
please.
you want, yeah, let me give you this.
That's fine, I got it.
I can make it nice and big.
Thanks.
My phone. So if it's over 25.39, they're already over what they should be for the year.
Go down a little bit. Yes and no.
Okay.
So a couple of things on this is that not everything spends evenly
Equally
over the
for
course
year.
of the year.
Okay.
So for example, the social services grant, these get paid up, this is that allocation that you
Yes.
guys used to do that now we're taking into the town manager's office, that gets paid out as soon as they request it.
Okay.
So those get paid out in one lump sum.
Okay.
You know, recreation, for example, has a lot of,
July and
this
August?
July, August payroll, that's when they do, that's when they have a significant
Okay.
amount of their expenses
Okay.
are in July and August due to the summer camp. So during the winter, you're basically only like, they don't have any field maintenance, they
Yeah.
don't, you're paying the salaries of the director and the assistant director, so that number goes way
Okay.
down. You know, other ones that Sean can probably speak to select other ones, but again, cemetery is early season, late season, right? Goes quiet in the
Yep.
winter. So it's not like I said, not every department does 25, 25, 25,
25. Yep. Okay. Got it.
You can see most of the departments that do kind of rely really heavily on payroll or regular expenses are, the vast majority of them are under 25 right now.
Sorry, we already say this? Why is town council at 93?
They get their stipend paid out immediately at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
See, the good thing about doing this is you get to ask those, because this
Yeah.
helps you
Yep.
build your
Totally.
knowledge of the budget as we go
Yep.
forward. This is why we should be doing this every quarter with you,
Yep.
going
Yep.
over these with you.
And so this year, their budget appropriation is pretty much strictly their stipend and then a slight little bit of expenses.
Mm.
You know, one of the things that when we're proposing the budget for fiscal year 27, we're gonna be talking a little bit more of, maybe there's some things that have fallen under the town manager line that should be in the council line, so maybe that council line should be bigger
Mm-hmm.
to more accurately reflect who's directing that spending.
Yep.
So when you see us talk about the town council and town manager line at one of those workshops, you're gonna see some of those lines change for next year because we've really thought about where things go.
Mhm.
And we'll talk about more of that in there. So this is the debts, this is expenditures and debt service,
What do you want to spend our dollar on, guys?
right? You can almost get a gumball for that.
So just to that point, most of your expenses are gonna come out of our line.
Okay.
Like if you go to training, you put in for mileage for training, that sort of thing,
Okay.
that's gonna be paid for in our line.
Okay.
Because I don't know
Okay.
how much of that you're gonna
Yeah.
do, some of those things are online, but you missed the annual, budget meeting, that budget training session NHMA puts on, which I don't think you've ever been notified
No.
before. Yeah, it's a good educational tool for you to go to, and then we make sure you get taken care of in terms of mileage,
Yeah.
that sort of thing to go to.
So we'll make sure you can plan on doing that next year.
Yes,
We'll
we'll
give you,
put something in advance.
there is one in the spring too, I think, actually.
They want the one in the fall.
They do
though.
want the one in
That's
the fall, though,
important
yeah.
one, because they're gonna be able to ask questions of the attorneys and everything else. It's a great opportunity. And you're gonna have budget committee members from all over the state there.
Nice.
I went to it my first year.
Yeah.
The books are a lot prettier now. They're
We can
better
nerd
PDFs.
out on
You'll get-
budget together.
You'll get a paper book.
Yeah.
I'll give you the digital
I like
version,
that.
but they have a paper book that they give you and it tells you all of that.
Nice.
And I apologize, I have not managed to send you out to get your logins into NHMA yet. It's been a little bit of a busy month, but I will get those in there. So you will have access to be able to
Okay.
download their publications and use them
Yeah.
as reference.
Great.
Their
Yeah.
news magazine, that way you'll get that
Yeah.
because there's budgetary items in there that'll help you out.
Yeah.
Statutory changes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is just the capital outlay and transfer to capital reserve. The unspent appropriation here, this is the rail trail article because it hasn't been
Oh, right.
spent yet,
Yep.
so.
Mhm.
That's pretty much it. Everything else has been transferred over.
Okay.
And then, Sean, stop me if I'm wrong on anything here.
Oh,
And
revenue.
this is revenue to date as well, so let me go out a little tiny bit on this so you can see the whole thing. Percentage through the year, we're 25.21 through,
Mhm.
percentage of revenue collected 22.35. Again, not necessarily linear.
Mhm.
You can see some lines are,
These are revenues on their property taxes.
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
So as you can see here, motor vehicle permits are trending slightly higher than 25%.
Mhm. Building permits being 68% makes sense, given that July, August, September, people want to get their permits in before winter.
And that is
Yeah.
the case. That's also a big amount too.
Oh,
So,
okay.
it's,
Line 2's payment in lieu of taxes,
Yeah.
that's where the Baldwins will come in.
Oh, good.
And so those get billed out on December 1st. So
Okay.
that's why you see $0 in there.
Okay.
So they'll all come in between now and the end of
Yeah.
Do we
And
give them
that
like
is-
3 days to pay?
30 days.
Wow.
Darn.
Not 30 days.
and we have
I drive a hard
we have
bargain.
3 pilot agreements, correct?
It'll be 4.
With the Baldwin, this makes 4, because we have
Manchester?
Manchester Airport, New Balance.
Yeah,
I thought Baldwin was the 3rd.
I don't remember.
Yeah, but we have a couple of them,
Okay.
so that's not the first one we have. A lot of this license in here, motor vehicle permits, boat licenses, dog licenses, marriage licenses, other licenses and permits, marriage ceremonies, that all comes in through the clerk's office.
Mhm.
Those are all the general things.
It's not clear to me, but you folks should be recommending projected revenues, not just appropriations. I don't know if you've done that in the past.
No.
Yeah.
No, they've never.
So
really
budget
done that.
committees always do that. They make a recommendation on proposed
Okay.
expenditures, and they also make a recommendation. So for you, this is something we're gonna have to spend some time with you
Yeah.
and these revenue projections.
I know how Justin does it. He's walked me through that process, and it's mildly complicated how he
Yes.
comes up with these numbers. So,
But we need to do an education session
Yeah.
to teach you how that is, because you should be recommending what the, your recommendation is what the estimated revenues are, because they're estimates.
yeah.
So you look at both sides of those, and again, it wasn't clear to me that I couldn't see whether you were doing that from outside before.
Well,
I
that's
got it.
just-
I'm like, I don't know if they're doing that.
Mm-mm.
Budget committees would normally do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could be useful to a budget.
I
department
guess-
head workshop together.
Well, yeah.
I guess my thought is, like I
Yeah.
said, I look at all these, and for your revenue point, is like, which ones could you affect by yourself here with our own policy versus state level?
Well, it's not so much a matter of that, it's projecting what they're gonna be. You should be part of the analysis.
No, I agree with
What
that.
we think they're gonna be, right, and how conservative we're estimating some of these.
Yeah.
Right? Like, for instance, building permit fees, right? We're already at 68.52%. Now, most of the building occurs obviously in the warmer months. People start to get them in the spring.
Yeah.
But we're looking at increasing our fees. So for next year,
Yeah.
we should be looking at a higher number for that, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you look at the 3-year average, because those can go up and down like this,
Mm-hmm.
right? But they're all a little bit different, as you indicated, there's some complexity to some of these. But we should get you educated on the complexity of those and how those are determined. And motor
Right.
vehicle revenues, we tend to be much higher than we predict, so we're very conservative. You wanna be careful about how conservative you get, right?
Yeah.
Because that affects tax rate.
Right.
Of course, they get adjusted in the fall. We'll be
Yep.
adjusting those hopefully next week when we set the tax rate based on what we know,
Yep.
which will be a good portion of it through the year.
And part of that too is the more eyes and the more help you have in that process, the more you can be apprised of things in the community or the state that could affect a line that
Yep.
those of us who are nose to the books in here during budget season, paying attention to our internal operations, we're not as engaged necessarily with every aspect, but you know, it's one of those things that if we forget that we have a new development like the Alta going in, that's going online, like, we may know that, but we may forget, oh wait, that's gonna bring in car registrations like this month. So we might not have analyzed that, you know,
Yep.
it's a question to ask that you guys
Yep.
can think of, and those extra eyes are really great.
Just an initial question,
Mhm.
so that we can start dipping our toes into this. Would it be helpful before we get the 27 fiscal budget? What, next week? You're predicting, or next week? What the week after?
The
24th,
21st,
yeah.
right?
Next
Oh.
week, I'm expecting to have the MS1.
Okay.
form, which is what we're waiting for. It's the last thing we're waiting for to be able to set tax rate.
Okay.
That's what I've been told that I'll have it for next week. And then the TIF district, how that interplays with that too.
Yeah.
I don't think no one's ever talked to you about how that works. There's an important calculus there that needs to be remembered.
Yep.
So it's important that budget committees, a statutory budget committee would have this information.
Right.
Administration wanna come in and done an educational session between budgets to get them up to speed, get them ready for that so they understand that. Because normally they would make a recommendation on the estimated revenues.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my only point was like, it'd be nice to have, maybe for us internally, is like a column that, you know, up to, right on this chart that says, how do I change this for a particular revenue?
So in terms of having a little bit more spelled out, like which is under our control, which can we impact? So
Yeah.
for
Yeah, I
example,
see what you're saying.
like Sean just said, we're increasing our building permit fees and our zoning review fees, right, that we're going up to. So a couple of these lines are going up.
Yep.
Right.
And, you know, this year, our assistant town manager and our building department did the review of our fees in relation to other communities and found that we were extraordinarily low, to the point where raising them, you know, was necessary to keep us in line with other communities and with our costs, departmental costs, and the cost of actually issuing these permits.
Yeah.
So, you know, some of these, but you're right, some of them are statutory, like we're not gonna necessarily be able to, you know, impact the cost of a marriage license because that's the cost of a marriage license, is the cost of a marriage license. So I see what you're saying, so you wanna know, you want a little bit more information on what.
So let me give you, I'll do a little spoiler on the strategic plan, right? Do a comprehensive fee review, right? And because you're the budget committee, normally, well, it doesn't say it in our charter, but normally you'd have some input on that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we wanna be able to offset those revenues, set some targeted amounts, and how do we do that? What's realistic, what's possible? And normally you'd have some participation in that process. It doesn't look like you've had any participation in that in the past, right? Because that directly impacts the budget,
Right.
right? And how we wanna spread that cost. Do we wanna have users of the particular service pay more of that and less of the general property taxpayer? Those are all policy decisions, and that's your realm. To make
You get-
recommendations to the voters and to the council.
Yep.
So the idea being that next time we do, or the first time we do, we've got a comprehensive fee review this coming
We just did,
year.
I wanted to deal with the low hanging fruit, which is the permits, the building permits, because they were way out of whack. And I want open them to be paid for by users, not taxpayers.
Yeah.
So that one I had to do right away.
Yep.
But we should be targeting that, one of our strategies is to do a comprehensive fee review across the town. Because if, like the landfill, the drop-off center, we're not recovering our costs. The taxpayers have to subsidize that. And ideally, you want that to be pretty much paid for by the people dumping the materials in there. But that's not what's going on right now.
Right.
And and nobody can even tell me the last time they were increased. And nobody can tell me what the delta is between what it costs to operate that facility and then what we're bringing in. So, you know, those are things that budget committees would be sticking their nose in and say, wait a minute, what's going on here? What's the ROI? What's the business case here? Are there other options, which we, by the way, we're looking at? You know, what are the options that we have in front of us? So those are the things that you can influence, right? Sale of town property, how much property do we have out there? Do we really need all of this? Can we unload some of that for things that, put them back in the economy, put them back in the private sector, right? That's revenue in the bank for us. And then not only that, those properties are now producing property taxes,
Yep.
right?
This is all where
So-
the kind of budget simulation capability you mentioned
That's,
earlier would.
I'm thinking about how much we can play, and I'm like getting
And
happy.
for
I know you are too.
very short term, what resources can you give us? I'll just say between now and November, when we have that Saturday meeting, what resources can you give us to better prepare us and arm us? So when we go into those, the first overview, we can have an idea on how we would, right, just comment on projections or what tools, what learning resources, what can you provide us to help us do our job better?
I was gonna say,
I'm not
Yes.
sure that I could cover all of this curve
Right.
in that short period of time. I have to train my own staff how to develop a budget.
Right.
Develop budget development 101, right?
Okay.
That might be a meeting that you might wanna go to.
Yeah.
Right? To see how we're actually doing that, because
I
it
would
needs a
love
lot
to
of
do
improvement. It needs significant overhaul, how that's to be done.
Well,
So
okay,
there are so
January.
many things that we have to get done. I need to provide a class to you, a session, on how we estimate our revenues, what they all mean. What is yield tax, right? Most people don't know what that is. That's for timber, right? And then how do you calculate, what's been a 3-year average, or 4-year, or 10-year average on that? So, and what can we predict moving forward? How can we predict moving forward what that's likely to be, right? Those are things that, the more I can get you educated on, the better off you're gonna be able to do your jobs.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's training, and I'm looking at training starting in January, because right now, finance is so jammed, because I am putting enormous pressure on them to do things they haven't had to do before. And as I told you before, I'm making some incremental steps to fix this process, but this process needs a significant overhaul. You have to be part of that overhaul process. And we're gonna talk about the process with the town council and with the budget committee and what that new budget process is gonna look like. And it's gonna start much earlier. It starts in April with the development of the strategic plan, or the finalizing of it, approval of it, and then the guidance, if there's any to be issued, because it doesn't look like you or the council ever provide guidance to the manager. You may have in the past, I don't know. But if you're gonna provide the guidance based upon, and what I would do is a financial outlook, so you can see what things look like in terms of future, and then they can say, okay, this is the guidance we wanna provide you, and then go do these things, right? With this in mind, and then we go build the budget. Much earlier, much earlier than what we've ever done in the past. So that makes it a far more elongated process, and then while we're doing all that into the next calendar year, is a lot of training for staff, training for budget committee, and then working with the council to develop what this new state is gonna look like. And also CIP is a big piece of that too. We have almost nothing in our CIP, and there are so many things out there that are not developed. And CIP is important for a number of reasons, not just for planning, but whether the town ever considers impact fees, those have to be in there if you're gonna do that, right? So none of that is built out to the level that it is in a lot of other communities. So we got a lot of good things going on here, but we have a lot of work in terms of refurbishing all these. So to answer your question, I really can't, there's limits to what I can do
Okay.
right now to be able to articulate that.
What I was gonna say, what I can do, Joseph, is pull together everything we do have. Anything we have in existence, we have a little bit, we should be able to I should be able to give kind of, by next Thursday, I should be able to give you an idea which of these are statutory
Okay.
and which of them are kind of more town determined, even if it's just highlighting, giving you some highlighting on that. And then I can also direct you to some of those NHMA and some of those other existing resources that are out there on the web that I know about that that I'm not just gonna be able to recite off. So I should be able to get you that,
That'd be phenomenal.
if we can say by next Thursday. Monday's
that'd be
council, so it's,
Yeah, that's
I'm in training tomorrow, but,
yeah, that'd be
I can
perfect.
give you the CD, because it comes in a CD, it's a 2005, the blue book. It's the Gatsby book.
Okay.
Well, you say that, but you're gonna wanna gouge out both your eyes.
You're gonna-
Start looking at it. But it would give you a real good education of how the budget should be broken down. Because
Okay.
it's a national standard, which we don't have yet here, right? It's actually, it's required by law here, even though we don't comply with it right now. That's why the new software, when it's set up, it will have those account codes the way they're supposed to be broken down by
spoilers
law.
for spring.
What format is that CD stuff in?
I was gonna say, we
It's
can
on there.
convert it to,
Something digital?
we can share without sharing the CD.
Yeah, of course it breaks copyright laws that
I
I'm not gonna do that.
didn't say we're gonna
We're gonna
share.
follow law and order here, so anyway, I can certainly share it with you, young fellow, if you'd like.
Well, I mean, you know what the first thing I'm gonna do is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's
Nothing illegal. I would load it into an AI tool so I could ask questions of it.
Yeah, I can't put it online.
right.
No, I was not gonna suggest putting it online, but I was going to suggest putting it into a slightly more user-friendly format.
So anybody who comes to visit me, there's a big blue book on my counter,
Okay.
and the CD is in the back.
Oh, that's what's in that book.
That's what's in that book.
I see. Okay.
And then, but I can give you the Reader's Digest version, which is probably what you might be more interested in. And we do the training session, that's what I'm gonna do with you.
Okay.
But you have that reference, and it's about that thick.
Wow.
And it's published by the Government Accounting Standards Board that we should be following.
And if you try and buy the book, it's like $250.
Oh my
So
God.
don't try and go do that, cause I was like, I'll get, but no. Nope, that's,
You'll just steal it off his
I will
desk.
just steal it off Sean's desk.
Borrow.
That's right, not choosing violence, right, Sean? All right. Any other questions on this right now? All right, so you have it in your packet, you have it up publicly. If you have any specific questions, ask Justin, not me. But, this is, so you can expect this moving forward. Again, this is unaudited, so this has not been,
Well, this is the new year.
Yeah.
Unaudited is
Yeah.
what we look at the previous year, so
Yeah.
this is obviously won't be audited until.
yeah,
Yeah.
but just reminding you that, so.
Yep.
All right, cool, so let's go back to the agenda. And
Yes,
so
sir.
Joseph can move you along.
Yeah, so next we have just reviewing combined, so we talked about the combined calendar of towns and schools and also some changes for our meeting dates, and I was thinking of some additional meeting dates as well during
Okay.
budget season. The first, we can just go through top to bottom, kicking off November 1st is the initial budget presentation for the town. Stop me if I'm going too fast or if you want me to just pause. Monday, November 3rd is our first town council budget workshop. It's town manager's office, town clerk, tax collector, finance, IT, planning. On the Monday, November 10th, another town council budget workshop. It's cable, recreation, solid waste, sewer, senior affairs, library, and review of warrant articles. Monday, November 17th, another town budget workshop with police, town manager, legal, general assistance, conservation, cultural affairs, IT. And then our first the school budget presentation, that is Tuesday, November 25th. Now moving into December, Monday, December 1st, another town council budget workshop. and bond hearing if needed, that's fire, town clerk, tax collector, planning, building, finance, solid waste, sewer.
Just to note on this, so you've got each department twice. So the first one's a presentation, hopefully most of your questions are answered, but if you need further questions, we've given you another opportunity to go over that again with those departments. And the goal is to focus on whatever night is on that particular budget. Keep the focus on that, and that's why we've broken this up and divided it to give you some more time, hopefully, to do the work you have to do.
That's good. Then that Thursday, December 4th, school board budget workshop. Monday, December 8th, another town council budget workshop, so public works, library, senior affairs, recreation, and cable. Thursday, December 11th, school board budget workshop. Monday, December 15th, town council public hearing on the budget and bond hearing if needed. That should say FY 27, not 26, so that's wrong, so that needs to get changed. My bad. Thursday, December 18th, school board budget workshop and regular meeting. Then in January, Monday, a town council budget workshop. Friday is the deadline for a petition warrant articles. That's just for the bonded warrant articles, correct? That's yeah. And then on that following Monday, another budget workshop. That's if requested. That's for the town. And do you guys want me to continue going through line by line, or you have it in front of you?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, that would be easier. So, also because I didn't put in our regular budget committee meeting, so in November, November 20th, we'll have a regular budget committee meeting. December 18th, a regular budget committee meeting. January 22nd, a regular budget committee meeting.
We will probably want to have one prior to January 22nd, because don't we need to vote on the warrant articles and how we feel on the budgets prior to that?
Yes.
Historically, I'm gonna look at this, so the way the deadlines work here, it will depend on when the council will hold the second hearing and move everything to the warrant on Monday, January 19th.
Yep.
If it is moved exactly as it says on the warrant and there's no changes made, they'll sign it that night. But if they need to meet again, they will, if any changes need to be made to the wording, anything gets changed during the hearing, they'll meet on Tuesday to sign the warrant in a special meeting just to sign the warrant.
Yep.
You would want to meet either Monday after the meeting or Tuesday.
Okay.
Joseph, there's also an error. Tuesday should be January 20th.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yes, that.
So.
I didn't catch it. Thank you.
So you would, in most cases,
Meet Tuesday.
meet on Tuesday.
Okay. So we wouldn't meet that Thursday, we'd meet Tuesday instead. Unless you want to see me 3 times that week.
Well,
The February ones are out of order too, see? Feb 7, then Feb 6.
yeah, that's. So for so we'll have 3, if we continue with our normal schedule, 3rd Thursday of the months.
Mhm.
That's where we would land for November 20th, December 18th, and January 22nd, where we're already meeting on some of these nights. And I'm glad that Sean and Kirsten, you both are here after our budget workshop. So the budget workshop concludes, so let's just say like that first Monday, November 3rd, right? Budget workshop concludes. Would we be able to schedule a meeting in this conference room? But the only issue is, right, we wouldn't know the exact time for when our meeting would begin. So how would we navigate something along those lines of, right, posting our meeting, having the time, right, what time should we say that it starts at?
What you do is you could say at the completion of the other meeting that you're at, that
Okay.
you retire to the Sunnycrest room, and then, so it's public, everybody knows when that's gonna be.
And we can come in and start the recording at that
Okay.
point in time.
Yeah.
So it can be one of those things that, you know, some of us are trained on the equipment to record now. So as long as we had the cards lined up, we could come in, hit record, and just get it started. So
Because I think it would be advantageous while we're all together and it's already fresh on our minds
Yep.
to just continue going and, you know, taking what we learned, what we had already discussed in there, and then discussing it amongst ourselves as a board. So Patrick,
So forgive me if I missed this, but which date in January were you talking about adding our regular meeting to a budget workshop? January 8th?
So January 20th.
Also on a Monday, okay.
So
Wait, no, that's a
Tuesday.
the 20th.
yeah, so
Got it.
Tuesday for us to, or maybe
That
you know,
would, yeah.
the 19th. What we do is the 19th, and at the conclusion of the budget workshop, come in here and then we vote as a board. Or if and that way we can discuss the warrant articles just amongst ourselves.
But that would be
We
if the
have done
warrant
in the
articles
past.
don't have any changes, right? If they do, then we would have to meet
you'll
Tuesday.
still be able to vote on
Oh,
them
we'd
on
still be able to
Tuesday,
vote on that
because if
Monday.
they change them Monday,
Okay,
you'll still be able to vote on them on
Mm.
Tuesday.
okay, so we couldn't do Monday and then Monday after, we'd have to do Tuesday, so.
You would have to
Okay.
do Tuesday.
But
yes.
you're gonna provide your guidance to the council, though.
Right. Right, we'd still provide our guidance to the council.
On those warrant articles and everything else, because that's the whole purpose.
Right.
Yes.
But-
Yeah.
But the official vote that goes on the
Because
ballot.
I in the past, those conversations have gone on for several hours.
Oh,
Where
yes.
just amongst us as a board,
Yes.
we're making our discussions, trying to convince
Yep,
board members how we would then vote on, how we want to present on the
Mhm.
ballot.
yeah, Tuesday's more of has always been more of a formality than anything else, yeah.
Right.
That's the end result, and if you're still debating at that point, then we haven't done our job right at the
Right.
beginning
Yep.
session, so.
So
So-
for the purpose of the meeting minutes, will you clarify all the dates that should be changed here for the future?
So, well, I'd
So,
like to
'cause that was just
discuss,
like a-
right, so I'll just, I first want to discuss it now for, instead of having our, I don't know, it still would be important to have a regular meeting in November to discuss this stuff with the town. So maybe like that Monday, instead of meeting after each, budget workshop, so like, let's say like the 17th, we then break out into here, hold a meeting of the budget committee, after the budget workshop, instead of meeting again on Thursday and bringing us all together, unless you would all like the time to take the few days to go to think about it and discuss it.
I think the
But-
best, what I'm thinking is
Right.
we let everybody present their budgets once. And then maybe after everybody's had an opportunity to present their budgets once, then we could meet, because then that gives us a full picture of what this looks like as a whole combined budget, rather than looking at it kind of piecemeal, you know what I mean? I like the idea of us letting everybody present their thoughts, because I might wanna cut something after saying, oh, that's a great idea, but then I see something else that might be a greater need for another department, and I go, ooh, actually, that's more of a want than a need. This is actually the real need. And so I think, getting a full picture from all the departments is probably the better way to go about doing that.
So based on the schedule, that date would be November 17th, you'll have seen all the departments once,
Okay.
including legal, general assistance, cultural affairs, and conservation, which that's the first time that they're really
Yep.
delved into.
So instead of doing a meeting on the 20th, would we like to meet at the conclusion of the budget workshop on the 17th to discuss everything with the town? And just go over
Sure.
everything that's been presented? Is that all right with all of you?
I'd
Is
probably
that a-
prefer a long night than 2 nights that week.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
yeah, I
already
don't know
here.
how long the budget workshops go, I guess it depends on, if we're gonna talk about everything all at once, we might have a lot to talk about also. If there's enough time, if you guys have been through this,
Some of
so-
these meetings historically have gone to like past midnight,
Right.
so, but that was when we were doing it all at once, so
Right.
these should be a lot shorter. So, yeah.
So where this meeting, where it
It
has
starts
been,
at 6 too, so.
and where, more so where the November 20th meeting, we haven't posted it in our minutes or the agenda, right? If we just,
You can still
So
change,
we can
you're
change.
plenty in advance that you can change. There is your third Thursday is posted through the end of the year, but you're plenty
Yeah.
far in advance to change that.
Okay.
okay, so are we all set November 17th? At the conclusion of the budget workshop,
Yes.
we'll meet here, Suncrest Conference Room?
Yes.
May
Okay.
I request also that you could
Yes.
include the charge on that agenda?
Yeah,
Discussing
so,
the committee charge.
yeah, so for that will be to discuss solely the town budget workshops, the
Yes.
town budget.
First round of town budget workshops.
Yeah. Alright, and then next for, so let's take a look in December, well, normally we would have be meeting on the 18th. Well, it looks like we're meeting on the 18th anyways with the school budget workshop.
I think that's the last one we have for school budget too.
Yeah. So would we then want to do the same, come back here, from the cafe, come back here at the conclusion of the school budget workshop, and discuss the school budget.
Would the building still be open? Because
Yeah,
I could get out
I'm
at like
gonna be
9.
with you. You have a staff person now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna be
We can make that happen.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I'll be with you over there, and then I'll come over here.
Okay.
Alright, so are we all set with that?
Yeah. That works for me.
Better
Okay.
stock up on coffee.
Yeah.
We can probably arrange that too.
We have several Keurigs in the building that could magically appear.
I was gonna say, do we have
in
an
here.
electric kettle? Because that's all I need.
We have that too.
Alright,
Wow.
and then January we discussed already the 19th coming over here to discuss our votes on the warrant articles.
I thought we were gonna do that the 20th
Oh,
because
20th, right,
yeah.
you're correct, 20th.
Yep.
Yeah,
so that's November, December, and January. Yeah.
okay, so I'm gonna reiterate it again so that we have all of our ducks in a row, so November 17th,
Mm-hmm.
December 18th,
Mm-hmm.
January 20th.
Yes.
So
Yes.
those will be the next, and then I also wanted to meet after the initial, on January, no, I'm sorry, on November 1st, on that Saturday, I would like to come in here and discuss community outreach options during budget season, how best we can reach out to the community, how to, okay, so let's just say we wanted to do a couple, coffees with the community and just they come in like we do. I'm just throwing out there, like we contact O'Shea's, they give us a few hours. We'll take questions from the community.
Yep.
I'd like to discuss dates, do it in a way where we can probably have it as a meeting while we might not have a quorum of budget committee members there, because it's just be like if you can show up from the budget committee's point of view.
Yeah.
That'd be something like either like just myself or just Kate,
Yep.
at least one of us would be there, but
Yep.
other members. But I would want it posted just in case, well, the entire budget committee shows up,
Right.
we'd have to post it as a
Yeah,
meeting.
It's a quorum notice for that. If
Right.
you're just answering questions and not conducting business.
We're not voting on anything.
You're not
Right.
taking votes, you're not taking actions.
Yep.
We post it as a quorum notice
Okay.
that you're gonna be out there interacting with the community, so everybody knows, people can go. But again, it's asking questions, nothing you're doing is binding.
Yes.
It's like when the counselors show up to Leadership Londonderry, they're there
Yes.
to observe and interact, nothing you're doing is binding,
Okay.
so.
Alright, so, and I'll reiterate again, so November 1st, at the conclusion of the initial budget presentation, we'll come in here, we'll be discussing community outreach,
Yes.
and any initial thoughts on the initial budget presentation that we have. On November the 17th, we will be discussing the town budget after all
Yes.
those presentations.
First rounds of town budget.
And then that'll be at the conclusion of the budget workshop. December 18th will be our discussion on the school budget at the conclusion of the school budget workshop that evening. And then January 20th,
Yes.
we will meet here to vote, to present our votes for the warrant articles for
Yes.
the town.
Yep, and then February 19th would then be our next regular meeting.
Correct.
And we usually invite the people who are running for
Right.
budget committee to talk to us
Yeah.
and,
So-
explain why they were running for budget committee.
And we'll
We
be-
did those last year.
Yeah, and we'll be doing that and the discussing for the strategic
The
development
strategic
initiatives.
plans, yep.
Just what we've gathered together, and that'll be good for the people who are running for office
Yeah.
and that want to join the committee to hear our thoughts
Do
on
you
those
have
changes.
input on our thoughts on the strategic plan?
Right. So, how does that sound to you? Are you all okay with those changes
Yes.
towards our normal schedule?
Yes.
Good.
Okay. I'm gonna also make the changes to that. Those that are correct. I'll send it back over to you, Nicole,
Perfect.
and we can get that amended.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other discussion on the schedule, changes to the schedule?
Thank you for putting all that together.
Yeah, of course.
I created calendar invites for all those meetings in my budget committee email. If anybody wants me to forward that to them, so it like pops up on their phone or whatever, I can send that over to you.
Alright, and then last, what we have left for, so moving on from the discussions of the agenda is liaison reports. So starting with schools, myself and Nicole.
I'm not gonna lie, I've got nothing today.
Okay, so I
Sorry.
have, don't worry, I've got some notes from the school, so. Let's get these. So first, I'll kick it off. They want to have better collaboration with us, especially. So first, like moving to or giving us quarterly updates as well, and they will adopt, whatever the town decides for within the municipal code. They want to work with us and move forward. Their goal is to improve fiscal transparency and avoid confusion about who sets the default and operating budget. So
Okay.
where the town goes, schools will follow.
Okay.
And their budget report is going to be presented on October 21st. Then, basically, so. Yeah, so they are. There's a discussion of substitute nurse pay, raising that from $12.86 an hour to $25 an hour. Just in comparisons with similar schools and similar pays, it's abysmal. So they're the cost impact of that, it's going to be modest overall, but it will affect the HR and substitute wage line for the
Okay.
district. And let's see, enrollment numbers. So there's a decline of 103 students overall. First and second grade saw an increase of 25 and 30 students respectively.
An increase of 25 and 30 each in those two grades?
In those two grades, so this is going to affect, staffing projections, classroom space, and their full-day kindergarten cost model. So that will affect those. And there is they're monitoring a potential surplus from Q1 that could offset some costs from the school care bill that they have. So that's what I have for schools. Moving on, next we have town council, Jason Patrick.
Defer to you two, you were there.
Oh, right, actually,
We
were
were.
there. Yeah, we're speaking. So, so the council discussed the next steps to take.
Yep.
Both Kate and myself, right? We both talked about the
Yep.
changes to the municipal code that
Yep.
that would be needed.
That's not gonna be
And-
part of the strategic plan?
Right. And they charged you with making recommendations
Yep.
and changing. So that's, I guess, Sean,
It's done, so
it's done? Okay.
I'm just waiting for staff feedback
Okay.
on it, because I rewrote the entire administrative code for all the boards and committees. So it's in draft form right now, and after that night, I just build out yours. So I'll just send you yours.
Perfect.
That's why I asked to put it on that November agenda, just to get your
Yeah, but I'll
feedback.
like send those to
Would
you
we-
tomorrow.
So maybe on November 1st, we discuss that as well,
Sure.
since we'll all be together.
Sure.
Instead of lumping in with the budget section later
Yeah.
in the month and beginning of the month, it'll be, if it's ready by then, if that's all set with you.
The draft's ready now, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a matter of, I'm gonna be taking the work that Sean did to all the boards and committees in November.
Yep.
To get them all, make sure they all have their charge and it's clear and that we're all on the same page, so just one of your November meetings, that would be lovely.
Right,
Okay.
so we'll, November 1st, we'll do that so we can get ahead and give you our inputs.
I
earlier
love
on.
overachieving, it's great.
Great.
Perfect, so November 1st, we'll discuss
Bright and early.
that.
Well, not bright and early after.
Um,
That's like 3:30, but that's fine.
Anything else from council?
No
Alright.
more.
Town hall, Kate.
So I met with Sean and Justin last week. Insurance rates for fiscal year 2027 only went up by 2.5%. There are basically two plans. One went up by 2.5%, and the other one went up by 3.3%. Most of our employees are on the one that went up 2.5%. So that's really good. Sean mentioned that they were expecting to see increases anywhere between like 3 to 30% or something ludicrous like that. So being even under, for the most part, what they were projecting is really, really good. I think it was a couple years ago, we saw like a 19% increase. So this is, we couldn't have asked for anything better.
Good.
All of the budgets have been submitted and they're currently under review, so we'll be seeing those soon. There is a new role justification form for any new roles that department want to add, basically saying why do you need this person, how much is it gonna cost, that we'll all get to see and review. That was part of one of the attachments that was sent out today. All of the departments are going to present their budgets to us in the town council, so IT will present their budget, town council will present their budget, so rather than Justin kind of presenting a lot of the budgets and the big four, I like to call them, presenting their own budgets, each department now will present their own stuff. So it'll be a big change. So the November 1st meeting is going to be interactive. They added time for Q&A, so after we receive our budget books on October 24th, and you're reviewing them, send questions to Justin and Sean ahead of time. That way, the people who are presenting can come with answers. And so hopefully that will cut down some of the back and forth where people asking some of the same questions. And it makes it easy to collate that. Justin has done a lot of work realigning the management services line. I know that's been a big complaint where it's sort of like a catch-all line where we end up with like 70 grand in management services and we're like, what is this?
Right.
He's been doing a lot more work on that as well. So you'll see some of that in the budgets. The possible warrant articles are going to be presented at the October 20th town council meeting, which is this coming Monday. There are 3 big ones that are going to be coming up and being talked about. One of them being the creation of a water fund, the other one being a creation of a transportation fund, and the warrant article for the school district office space combined with the town hall. And that's going to be, there's a joint meeting for that on October 21st at 7 p.m. In the Londonderry High School cafeteria. The Lions Hall is another possible warrant article. According to my notes, we should have had that information as of yesterday from the CM firm. Did you get that by any chance?
No, I met with them. So
Oh, you met with them.
So they're developing their cost. I need to
Okay.
go see the building with all the
Okay, yep.
professions.
Okay.
Do that.
All right, so we'll have that, I don't know, probably in the next few weeks, I would presume.
And probably more than that.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
We're up against the gun on that one.
okay, one can hope. The fire department's budget and equipment fund will see a higher than usual increase this year. Apparently, a lot of their equipment really, really desperately needs to be replaced. So anticipate that. And long-term capital projects is going to be a point of discussion coming up during the next CIP meeting. I looked at the calendar, I didn't see when that next meeting is scheduled for, but that whenever it is scheduled, that's what this is going to be talked about.
Okay.
And then the Q1 fiscal year 2026 report that we just went over is going to be presented at Monday's town council meeting. So, and then non-budget related, but still important to the town is fire chief. We haven't had one
Right.
for a while. We received 22 applicants. Sean's going to phone screen 8 of them. The top 6 move on to the next process, and then we'll keep going from there. So, yep.
Any timeline on when you think the selection will take? When we'll have a new fire chief?
So the phone interviews will occur on the 23rd.
Okay.
And then the assessment center should be the first week, they're trying to line up the first week of November. MRI does that,
Okay.
contracted to do that. So after that, there'll be final interviews with me and Kelly,
Mm-hmm.
and then then we'll select a candidate, start background investigation work, and then we'll see how long it takes to go through that process. So,
Yep.
You know, sometimes you end up with no applicants that qualify at the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was encouraging, we had 22.
Good.
So we'll just see how it goes.
Mhm. New fire chief.
That sounds good.
That's it.
All right, perfect. So Sarah's in here, so moving for DPW, police department. I had a very productive call with Chief Bernard. Let me pull up my notes from my conversation.
While you do that, I can speak a little bit to DPW. A working group has been created as of late. We have done a tour of the Wyndham DPW, and we did a tour of our own DPW. And so those discussions that we were having over the last several years about maybe doing a renovation of DPW and really fixing what we've got over there. There's now a working group for that. I'm on it. Sean Faber's on it. So we've got a nice little group of people who are hopefully next year, not this year,
Right.
going to put a warrant article forward for what that would look like. So
Nice.
yeah, well, long overdue.
That's good.
Yeah.
Uh,
For our
so,
warden.
For our ward Molly.
yeah. Chief Bernard, so I asked him, you know, what he's thinking for next year's budget as well. He's not asking, he won't have any ask for warrant articles
Okay.
from the police department, so we won't be looking at that. The increases, he's estimating 12.2 million.
Okay.
Budget for the police for FY27, and that's, I mean, it's pay raises and contractual obligations and contract increases.
Okay.
For first quarter, he told me, you know, Q1 is the most expensive for the police department,
Okay.
and they're that's, you know, some lease payments, and so he's optimistic that they're going to stay under budget
Oh, good.
for this year.
Good.
Right now, they're budgeted for 68 officers. There's currently 10 openings. 7 out of the 10 he's going to have filled.
Okay.
So he's going through the process of hiring more officers. One of them, a captain, retired. 2 individuals, retired. Some individuals had left the Larned PD for higher paying positions elsewhere. But he's also optimistic about getting those filled out. The attorney positions, paralegal positions are filled. Non-budget related, they have, they got their CLIA accreditation.
Mhm.
Some people came and they did a review. The police department passed review, and the London Police Department's going to be receiving recognition and an award. So they'll be going down to Jacksonville. They're also amongst the top 5%, best police departments in the country. According to the CLIA review. So that's a bit of pride for us.
Yeah.
So that's what I have for police.
Okay.
Next is
Fire,
fire,
what's
and Ryan's not here. CIP Sarah's not here. Planning board, Kate.
Ryan?
Before you do that, I
Oh.
can just tell you the CIP meeting did not have a quorum on the 29th, so
Oh.
they'll be meeting another day. I don't have that date yet.
Okay.
Dina?
It's like the 23rd, what's next Wednesday or Thursday, the 23rd?
Yeah.
That's when it is.
Ryan has not let me know that whether or not he's been going to the planning board meeting, so I would go if he let me know, because I'm the alternate, so he's hopefully been going to them, because I haven't heard from him, but
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll get when we do liaison reports again, we'll just get an update then. Library, Patrick.
All right, thank you.
That's
So,
for last.
What's that?
I said
I
best for
know.
last.
No, actually, this Kate was at the meeting Tuesday also, but
Yeah.
to begin with, just I got an updated copy of our budget performance report from Justin today. So thanks to Justin, our finance director, for pulling that out even in the midst of all this other busyness. We are currently 29.6% of the way through the fiscal year as of today, and as of this report, which is actually forward dated to the 18th, 28% of the budget has been used. Now, again, this is not in linear use. This month, actually in October, there was a significant expenditure for the dues and subscriptions line
oh
item.
yes, that makes sense.
Right,
Mhm.
which is why the number that we saw before at the end of Q1 was only 20% spent. Now we're up to 28%.
Yep.
And there are other things too, but that one was, I think, the biggest one-off hit, which was, over $46,000 spent on that one this month.
Yep.
Switching gears, The Board of Trustees did manage to complete their budget this Tuesday. That's why the town now has all the budgets. They got that in yesterday. I would say it was actually a very productive
It was so good.
meeting on Tuesday. Couple of highlights from that. The board considered 3 different draft budget proposals. One by Director Matlin, one on behalf of the Board of Trustees by Treasurer McLaughlin, and of course the default budget provided by the Town Finance Department. All 3 of those were part of the binder posted by the library in advance, so anyone could access those. And then just a few, I did a bunch of slicing and dicing. Part of my report is an Excel spreadsheet that compares all the different budget proposals. Also, fiscal year 26 budgeted and fiscal year 25 actuals with what the Board of Trustees actually approved. So just a couple of actuals. The budget that the Board of Trustees accepted and forwarded to the town is about 107% of fiscal year 25 actuals. And just by comparison, the 2-year CPI from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, so from August 23 to 25, is plus 6% versus, again, 106.8 of FY25 actual for this budget. This budget is 4% up from FY26 budgeted. That's using the Town Finance Department numbers. By the way, all of this is in the Excel spreadsheet with formulas and such, so anyone can verify if I made any stupid mistakes. The budget that the Board of Trustees forwarded is 99.9% of Director Matlin's proposed budget, 104.3% of what the Treasurer proposed, and 103.6% of the town's default FY27 budget. And the 1-year CPI, which also Kate quoted on Tuesday, August 24 to 25, that's the latest one, non-seasonally adjusted, is 2.9%. So inflation, 2.9, 3.6 is the budget that the Board of Trustees forwarded to the town, compared to the town default. So a lot of slicing and dicing, very interesting in here. There is one point that I think should be perhaps, I call that a notable point for next year. In 3 of the accounts, the Board of Trustees retained aggregated amounts, where before there had been discussion of splitting them out to individual line items, for example, with G-Milks or some of the programming, instead of in management services. For now, the board did retain those in 3 accounts on aggregated amounts, and the board stated an intent next year to reallocate those funds to more specific lines in that budget. So something for us to maybe,
And is that something that once we get their budget, we can ask what that breakdown is? I'd be happy to provide that, so, at least just so that we know.
we can certainly ask. That is broken down actually in a couple of the proposed budgets. The roll-up change to put it back into the 000 account lines I think it's best, instead of me speaking for the Board of Trustees, anyone can watch the recording and understand their rationale for what they did and why they did it.
Yep.
So I'll do that then.
Yeah.
The broken down budgets are also on the agenda from last Tuesday too, so you can see the different proposed
Yep.
budgets. They're attached to the library trustees
Yep.
agenda.
Yep. And all of those are transposed into the spreadsheet that when Nicole sends out my report, there's a link in there that anyone can download the Excel spreadsheet itself.
I thought it was a good discussion. It was great to be involved in that process and,
Yep.
yeah.
And it's odd how a productive discussion also gets over with much faster.
Right? It was great.
That's all for my report. Thank you.
Alright, thank you, Patrick, and thank you, Kate. So, before we move on to public comment, since we're on the topic of liaison reports, my discussion started at the beginning about potentially having a liaison to the to the state and county delegation.
Okay.
Would we like to just my thought, we create that now, that liaison now, we build this repertoire, because once March comes around, a new board comes in, we won't know what the composition of the board is, we'll have just something in place, a relationship with the state delegation, because that's not going to change between now and March drastically, right? The 9 actually,
Nine.
right? I forgot Wyndham. So 9, our 8 representatives, 1 senator, and then 1 county commissioner. However, we want to set those meetings. Maybe we start now, try form that relationship, figure out how our relationship with them is going to be set up between now and March, and then when the new board comes in and takes over, they can pick up from where we left off. So would we want to first create that liaison position?
Would there, I just wanna make sure that we're clear on like before we create the position, we understand what the roles and responsibilities of it.
Yeah.
Is it the same role and responsibilities it has of any other type of liaison?
Correct.
Okay, yep. Yeah, then I'm fine with that, as long as we understand what that responsibility is, yeah.
And something like this, right, 2 members should take on this
Mm-hmm.
this task of meeting with them, figuring out when to meet with them, when to get the information that we'll need. So I know, like, I myself would like to, and I don't know.
I'd be
Kate,
happy to too, yeah.
Or besides myself, would anyone else like to take on that?
I'll defer to you all on that. They do have an extraordinarily busy legislative calendar this year.
Exactly.
Didn't they, Laura, over like 1,000 bills submitted or something like that, yeah.
So we can work on that.
Sure,
We can
yeah.
discuss with them, find out when to meet, what we want to ask them.
Okay,
Start
that sounds
building
great.
that relationship, and just let them know moving forward the budget committee is going to have a relationship with them.
I think that's a great idea.
All right, so that concludes liaison reports. So can I have a motion to open public comment?
So moved?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes in the affirmative. Any comment from the public? Seeing none, can I have a motion to close public comment?
So moved?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Oh, wait,
no.
No, sorry, after
Oh.
public comment, staff,
Oh,
final staff comment.
Okay, chair votes in the affirmative.
I just wanted to let you all know that this year the budget books will be digital,
Okay.
so you will be sent PDFs. Currently, the council has, for each meeting, they have a folder on their computer with all the documents on it. The budget book will also live on all the computers in there.
Okay.
Does that sound right? So
Yeah.
we're by chapter and split up, so you'll be able to pull up the relevant documents for whomever is speaking to you,
Okay,
from
great.
from wherever you're sitting, so you'll be able to use that.
Plus the PowerPoints will be on there.
Yep.
And Kate talked about the sheets that'll be filled out.
They'll be in there as
So
well.
the fire department asked for positions, the PD did not, DPW did, so you're gonna see those, even though, and if you haven't read my email yet, I put a note in that doesn't mean that I've approved those to go forward, but I want you to see everything.
Yep.
Because I can tell you right now that they're not all going forward, at least from my perspective.
Okay.
Right, but the warrant articles are on a different date.
Yep.
But I wanna get them, because if you're gonna talk about those department budgets, you should have those in front of you.
Yep.
I don't believe you've ever received anything like that before
Nothing.
that articulates why these positions are necessary, and it gives the full year cost, not half a year cost. So you can really,
Good.
right. In the future, I wanna project a 5-year cost for that,
Right.
but I don't have the tool to do that yet. But that will be a better tool for you to be able to plan whether or not you wanna do something like that in the future, so.
So that-
To that point, I suppose it's probably asking too much too soon, but when since you have the budget books digitally, hallelujah, thank you. Any chance that the embedded sheets we can get as direct spreadsheets? Because we can extract them out of PDFs anyway, it's just very laborious.
It's a great question, let me ask that for you, and I'll
Okay.
get that answer for you by the end of
We
next
should
week.
be able to zone.
And if there's a concern about handing out Excel spreadsheets or whatever, which people might modify
I
and
don't
pretend, okay, well, there are ways to lock those, I can help with that.
Yeah, I don't
if need be.
think that
I
that's-
don't wanna lock them though.
Well,
If
but
you wanna take them and be able to go.
Well, you can lock the town provided data, but leave the rest unlocked, so people like me can add derative calculations, for
Exactly.
example.
But we
Put
also
your
have,
notes
we
on
have, we'll have them memorialized in PDF form, and we'll have them memorialized in the department emails that we, for example, when I sent ours to Justin,
Yep.
I have that email, so if I have a question, I can be like, no, that's.
I prefer to give it to you so you
Yeah.
can do,
Play with
you
it.
can, yeah, you can do your own modeling with it, so it's open and you can go do your own work with it. And that way you can put your notes in it that you wanna put in there, and just to make your life a little bit easier.
My comment was just to countenance a concern I've heard before about if the town hands out data in a readily editable format like a spreadsheet, perhaps there was a concern that some people might change them and then purport that these are the real numbers.
We
Yeah,
can do
we
it
can.
anyway with AI, you know that, right?
Like I said, I'm countenancing
That's
somebody else's concern.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Sean could have delivered this entire meeting as a giant rabbit with it, so, we're not doing that, but we do have the records, so I understand your concern. It might just be a timing thing, I might not be able to have them for you by the same day that you get the budget books, but certainly we can get those to
Totally
you.
fine.
I'd like to
Thank
get them
you.
for them because I'd like you to be able to have it.
Yep.
So I'm gonna talk to Justin about that tomorrow so I can get it for you, because we're publishing this on the 24th, to at least give you some time. And if you wanna do that, you need time to do it.
Yep.
So I'd like to get that to you in electron, I'll talk to Justin tomorrow.
Cool.
So you can get the Excel. When we publish it on the 24th, we can just send it out to you in that format as well,
Okay.
and that way you'll have it. So I'll work with him on that.
Thank you.
And then the other thing is, you notice it's scheduled out a little bit longer day. In the past, we came in and did breakfast and then went right through.
Mhm.
Coffee in the morning, Are we doing lunch?
We are.
We are doing lunch, so I wanted to let you know that.
It's not gonna be
However-
5-star dining.
No,
Yeah.
it's
It'll be very basic.
You're feeding me, it's fine.
But snacks, drinks,
Yep.
please remember to bring the things you need to get you through the day if you need anything in there.
Okay.
That's all.
Yeah.
We'll have the doors to the break room open, so you'll be able to go in and
Great.
make coffee midday or make tea midday if you want to. So we'll have
Awesome.
that,
Thank you.
we'll have that
Thank
open
you.
for you,
Yeah.
so. All right, that was my only thing. I just wanted to make sure you were prepared for the first.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you.
Thank
Yeah, and Sean, anything else from you for us?
There's a bunch of other things, but again, we've gotta talk about training and all that, scheduling and
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah.
Then we gotta talk about strategy with the council, about what the next year is gonna look like, so that's for a different day.
All right. So, any last thoughts, questions, anything from the board? Then can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes in the affirmative. I will see you all bright and early on November 1st.